Now let's try and estimate rational numbers. So first of all, let's try and estimate fractions or decimals. So if we want to see whether a fraction is close to -1 or 1, we just need to compare the numerator and the denominator, the absolute value of the numerator and denominator, and see whether it is roughly equal. So for example, we have 11 over 12. So we know the absolute value of 11 is 11, and the absolute value of 12 is 12, and we know 11 is roughly 12. So we know this is roughly equal to 1. For the next example, how to see whether a rational number is close to 0. If the absolute value of its numerator is very much different from the absolute value of the denominator, we say that it is close to 0. So for example, 1 over 12. We know the absolute value of 1 is just 1, the absolute value of 12 is just 12, so we know that this is roughly equal to 0. For the last one, we have close to half or negative half. All we need to do is compare whether twice the absolute value of the numerator is roughly equal to the absolute value of the denominator. So for example, we have 5 over 12. So the absolute value of 5 is 5, multiply that by 2 will be equal to 10, and then the denominator is still 12, and we know this is, and since 10 is roughly equal to 12, so we know this is roughly equal to half. Now let's try and use these properties to help us round numbers. So if we want to calculate -7 and 1/5 plus 8 and 7/9 minus 24 and 5/8 by just estimating, we can just convert these numbers into natural numbers. So for example, 1/5 we know is close to 0, so we can just write -7 and 1/5 as -7. 7/9 is close to 1, so we just add it to 8 to get 9. And once again, 5/8 is close to 1, so we just add this to become -25. We then calculate the sum and differences to be -23. Now another kind of estimation is to just use front-end estimation, which we just use the whole number part instead of the fraction part. So we can rewrite this as 9 minus -6, which is equal to 15. So the front-end estimation of this difference would be roughly equal to 15. Now for the last example, we use compatible numbers, which means we use numbers that are easy to calculate. So we know this number, 18 divided by 5 is hard to calculate, but we can convert this into 18 divided by 6, and we can mentally calculate this to be equal to 3. So the division of those fractions is roughly equal to 3.